Who you are, your strengths, how you operate, how is your relationship with money, how self-aware you are, that will also determine the way you operate a business.
Welcome to Acton Line, a product of the Acton Institute for the Study of Religion and Liberty. I'm Eric Cohn, executive producer. Today, we're bringing you a conversation between Caleb Whitmer, project manager at Acton's Center for Social Flourishing, and Carla Velas-Brito, director of SpringGR. SpringGR's mission is to help underserved entrepreneurs in the Grand Rapids metro area, a large majority of whom are minorities and women, who have great ideas they want to grow into successful businesses. They do this by connecting those budding entrepreneurs to the intellectual, social, and financial capital they need to thrive. SpringGR was created to serve these individuals out of a belief that every idea deserves a chance to thrive in the marketplace. SpringGR does this through a series of programs designed to incubate and accelerate entrepreneurial ventures, helping business owners overcome plateaus, grow faster, and realize their goals with clarity and confidence. You can find additional resources in the show notes for this episode, as well as find previous episodes of Acton Line on our website at acton.org/actonline. And if you like this program, you can help us reach even more listeners by sharing it with a friend and leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We welcome your comments as well. Acton Line is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
Carla Velas-Brito is director of SpringGR, an organization that supports entrepreneurs in the Grand Rapids metro area not currently being served in the community, a large majority of whom are minorities and women, by helping them create their dream business. An expert in marketing and communications, Carla leads a talented team that provides a wide range of programs and opportunities that support entrepreneurs at every stage of their journey. Carla, welcome to Acton Line. We'll jump right in. Can you introduce SpringGR to our listeners? What's SpringGR's mission and what do y'all do?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to share about SpringGR, which is a local nonprofit here in the Grand Rapids area. We are all about programming, so we offer 5 different programs that help entrepreneurs from an early stage to scale and grow in their business.
Fantastic. What's your pitch to an entrepreneur to take one of your programs? Are you geared toward entry-level, people who have been doing it for a few years, experienced professionals? Where does SpringGR fit into that?
We really have a range of everyone, just a variety of people from young, even age-wise or demographically speaking, younger, older people, some moms, some people with degrees, no degrees. It's really everywhere, but definitely with the passion of starting a business or growing their current actual business.
Next year, 2024, SpringGR will be celebrating its 10th anniversary. Could you tell me about the scope of SpringGR's work? How many entrepreneurs have you worked with? How big's your team? Just give us a sense of the size of SpringGR and the work you've been doing.
Awesome, yeah. So we're a small team. We're about 7 people full-time in-house, but then we hire and contract different coaches, facilitators, and experts in different areas of business. And that makes our team about 30 people with those part-time experts that we have. Every class, we don't take more than 15 to 20 people because we really want to focus one-on-one on them. We want to get to know them. And so every class that we offer per semester, it's about 15 to 20 people. So in a year, depending on how many programs also are offered, we can graduate 100 to 200 people per year. So right now we're at 870 entrepreneurs who have graduated from SpringGR, but at the end of this year, in 2023, we will have over 1,000 people that we had graduated.
And I just mentioned that 2024 is the 10th anniversary. Could you talk about the origin of SpringGR? How was SpringGR founded? What was it founded for?
Yeah, so there was our funders find a gap in the economic development or in the entrepreneurial ecosystem here in Grand Rapids. There were different resources in the financial, even social capital component, but they found this lack of intellectual support. So where could you find classes that doesn't require a 4-year degree or a long commitment, that it's built from entrepreneurs to entrepreneurs, that really nails down the needs of the entrepreneur without an extensive time commitment or financial commitment. And so they did some benchmarking domestically in different cities, and one of the programs they found in Tennessee was the inspiration of, can we bring something like this to Grand Rapids? And so that's how we launched it as a pilot with one program with a 14-week class on entrepreneurship, and then the rest is history. From there, we grew into different programs from an early stage, from a more growing stage for more mature entrepreneurs, but then also in different languages and also industry focus. So at this 10-year mark that we'll celebrate in 2024, we have seen the growth of from one program to now 5 different programs, and then an extensive alumni support, which includes different resources for after class.
SpringGR has a particular focus on female entrepreneurs and people of color, correct? Can you talk about that aspect of SpringGR's mission? How do you, what kind of barriers are you trying to overcome in that aspect of your work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is a gap definitely where minority-owned business lack the resources, lack the social capital, the segregation too, and the way we are connected as a city can be very divided. And so in order to bridge that gap, our focus, it's on minority women, people of color that usually don't have the access to all these different networks, but also the intellectual capital at an affordable price and in a convenient, because we know they're busy people with full-time jobs, businesses, with a family. And so we wanted to make it easier for them, but knowing that they can still be successful in their business, regardless of historically what has happened in our country and in their families and just how it's structured in the city.
How does SpringGR bridge the gap in that network in particular?
Mm-hmm. We're very intentional about our collaboration with other organizations, but also how do we, it's a marketing issue, I would say too, how do we support them to get the word out, and how do we connect them to different networks that they wouldn't usually either have access to or they don't know that they exist. So when we create events or when we host any kind of networking even spaces, we make sure that we have different interests represented, that we have different socioeconomic classes, that we have different backgrounds, that if there are barriers like cultural, language, that we can address those. So it's a safe space for entrepreneurs, but it's also a space to grow and to see beyond what they have seen in their day-to-day, or maybe the way they were raised. They can find other networks and other spaces where they can thrive.
I'd like to talk about SpringGR's curriculum and methodology. Your entry-level class is called the Idea Lab, and I want to talk about, or I'd love for you to talk about, who is this for? How is this course structured? What kind of challenges are you helping the entrepreneurs overcome in this class? I guess just bring us into that class, bring our readers into that class. What's that like?
Yeah, so this is a very exciting class because many people have business ideas. They don't know how to start. Or in some cases, sadly, we see them just go for a loan and then they don't have a strategy. They don't know how to really work the business so that it's viable, so that it's feasible, so that it creates income, right? And so even before all the commitment and all the and launching the business itself, they have an opportunity in this program called Idea Lab to test their idea. And through this 14-week program, they simplify their idea. They learn how to make sales, understand marketing, understand what processes they need in their finances and accounting and all the different areas of a business Canva. But more than just the education, it's also a time to think, prepare, am I ready to start a business? Is being an entrepreneur for me? And we do this through not just classes, but also one-on-one coaching and peer roundtables where people can discuss not only what they're excited to launch, but also their fears and how can we have a space where we can be honest and talk about, is this really for me? And if I do it, what would it take? Before a bigger commitment of a loan, as I mentioned, or launching it without a strategy, this is a space to test. And we have seen that some that take classes say, you know what, this is not for me. And for us at SpringGR, that's a win because we have helped someone clarify what's the next step and what's their path as an entrepreneur look like.
Fantastic. Next on your program list, kind of the next level up, is the Small Business Accelerator program. Could you talk about that program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the Small Business Accelerator is 14-week program, same. These are more established businesses. They have done over $1,000 in sales. They have been in business for 3-5 years, and they just need to accelerate. They just need a push. They just need to revisit some of their strategy. They need to grow. And basically they know how to do business. They have been doing business, but maybe they also find out that there are some pieces that could do better, or that they need to start delegating more, or that how to build a team in their business, and what opportunities do they have to innovate, to grow, and to have people accountable. So it's the already established entrepreneur that needs a push and that needs to revisit their business.
Another program that you have is the 250 Project, or 250 Project. Could you tell me about that program? How does that tie into your other programming?
Yeah, so the 250 Project is a program for the more mature entrepreneur, and that means an entrepreneur that is making $100,000 or more in revenue, that it's also, or wants to scale in 30% or more in sales. So this usually the avatar, or the profile of this entrepreneur is someone that have been in business, doing well, but they're growing. They need to expand their team. They need to have different departments in order. They now have a product that they want to launch, or it's more than we're testing if my business is viable. This is it, but how do you scale up to $250,000 and more? Usually it's not about the number, it's about how do you increase your sales over time. This program actually, during this time, we create a 3-year growth plan, and it's the work that we do throughout these 6 months bi-weekly that we meet, and then we have a plan for the next 3 years on how to scale.
Fantastic. And then I also understand that you recently started a food entrepreneur, a Foodpreneur. How do you say that?
Yeah, the Foodpreneur.
There we go. Can you tell us about that program?
Yeah, so KIP is the Kitchen Incubator Program, which is for all the foodpreneurs that are either trying to take from cottage law their business to now a licensed business that they can do catering, or potentially open their own restaurant. We also offer a licensed and commercial kitchen in the 49504 area, and 49507 area, and this is a very affordable licensed commercial kitchen that they can test, that they can try, that they after they get licensed they can rent. So it's a program and also a rental space where they can grow their food business.
We were talking about this before we started recording, but one thing that you mentioned was that in these classes, you're talking about business fundamentals, you're talking about finances and marketing and other personnel, other things like that, but that a lot of the effect of these programs is also personal growth and personal development. Everybody brings their personal character traits, their strengths, their weaknesses into a business that they are starting. You can't avoid that. Could you talk about that aspect of the program? How does SpringGR come alongside people in this story of personal development?
Mm-hmm. So any entrepreneur doesn't. So the intellectual capital and the knowledge, we realize it's not enough for any entrepreneur. And so who you are, your strengths, how you operate, how is your relationship with money, how self-aware you are, that will also determine the way you operate a business. So in these 14 weeks, we take the four first weeks of class to just talk about that, to have a coach that can work with you one-on-one to understand your SWOT, basically, to understand what are those pains and struggles from culture, from language, from income, from any generational values that people have that definitely will affect how they do business. And so these 4 weeks, it's really 80% let's work on the person, on the entrepreneur, and 20% on business. And then we switch that when we start the business Canva and work for the 10 weeks of business knowledge. But those 4 weeks, it's more than 4 weeks. At the end of the day, it's an ongoing work. We do this through coaching, through mentorship, through different events, because we realize that in 4 weeks we can bring up these topics, we can discuss, but there is a lot of work for every entrepreneur to realize what is my calling in the marketplace. And so how do I see that? We facilitate that conversation, that support, and we walk alongside.
Who are your coaches and mentors?
Yeah, so these are business experts in the Grand Rapids area. They have multiple business or work also for different companies. They have a business background, but more than that, they also understand, again, culturally or depending on the class where people are at. So in our Spanish classes, all of our coaches and facilitators are bilinguals, immigrants, some of them, and they understand, again, culturally what could be a struggle when an entrepreneur wants to launch a business. On the early stage program, we have more early stage, again, coaches, right? For the 250 project, we have more advanced experts, facilitators that can talk about access to capital in a different way than someone can do in the early stage. So depending on the program, we have really, these are our heroes, our champions here, because they are committed people to help entrepreneurs succeed through their own failures and their own successes as entrepreneurs. So build for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs.
So how did you get involved with SpringGR's work? Can you talk about your professional journey a little bit?
Mm-hmm, yeah, so I was born and grew up in El Salvador, and I was surrounded by amazing women entrepreneurs, which are my grandmas. They're still in business. There was always, for me, an interest in business. I had the opportunity to come here to the United States and do a business degree. And through that time, I learned a lot about the business as a mission and a lot of the calling that we have as entrepreneurs in the marketplace. It was until college that I realized that this shouldn't be separated. And what I do as an entrepreneur, what I do to help other businesses, or when I work in a business, it's more than a job. It's a calling. And so that early stage of reframing my mindset about business and faith was really important. After college, I moved back to El Salvador. I continued my studies in marketing and communications, and then I moved to the greater Boston area. And in Massachusetts, I was able to also work with other entrepreneurial supporting organizations. At that time, I also started my business, which is photography, videography, but also bilingual marketing services. And I have been an entrepreneur for a long time in terms of always finding those problems and how to bring a solution to that. Over the last 5 years, from Boston now to Grand Rapids, I have been able to work one-on-one with entrepreneurs, create programs and workshops and resources for the Hispanic Latino community or Latinx community. And as of recently, 2 years ago, that I relocated to Grand Rapids, I also was involved with Partners Worldwide, which is an organization that helps businesses around the world, and recently joined SpringGR, which does the same but locally. So again, background and just experience, it has been on both sides, working with with entrepreneurs, but also being an entrepreneur and navigating the challenges of how do I grow my business? How do I set up my processes? How do I access capital? So it has been a combination of both, doing it and helping others to do it.
So you've been the director of SpringGR for about 10 months, it was? Yeah. And what are some things that you've been working on over the last almost year that you're especially proud of, excited about, that you'd like to share with our listeners?
It has been really refining programs. It has been also questioning and bringing feedback of, are we doing this right? And one of the things that I am very excited, and next week we'll celebrate more of that, it's our first full Spanish program that we have now at SpringGR. We have graduated 20 people that didn't think it was possible to start or grow their business in Grand Rapids because of a language barrier or couldn't find those resources. So I'm very proud about that, but the work continues, right? And the work is this the right approach? Is this the right thing to do? How are we actually helping them? What is the support after class? So being able to build that, to bring strategy to that, to do research on that, and understanding our ecosystem and what works best is something that it's not a one-person job. I have a great team that we all are on the same page on how can we improve every day more for the people that we serve.
I understand you all provide pretty robust services for alumni of your programs. Can you talk about that aspect? So once someone comes through your program, what does their relationship with SpringGR look like after?
Mm-hmm, yeah, so people think I'm taking these 14-week classes and I'm done, and we always encourage them, come back, we're here. We put different workshop, kind of like master classes, specifically with topics that we hear from entrepreneurs that I need help in accounting or finances, and we facilitate those. We also have peer roundtables or just times where people can keep each other accountable as a group and share, again, successes and failures. We have mentors, but the best part is really those business mentors, which are volunteers in our community, that say, I can work with this entrepreneur on a weekly or monthly or quarterly in the year basis. And these are already mentors, volunteers that are out there, retired or in business, but that they have so much knowledge to share, and creating a personal relationship or creating that relationship with the entrepreneur that you're not alone, we're walking alongside. So different parts of events and social capital and intellectual capital that happen after class, and those are partners in the communities, from law firms to marketing experts that come to us and really give their time to help other entrepreneurs.
Could you speak, you've talked about this a fair amount already, but maybe we can talk about it explicitly. Could you talk about the importance of having that mentor, especially in the early stages of starting a business, of trying to level up your business? What's the importance of that mentorship relationship?
One of the biggest things it's the accountability piece. Every class, entrepreneurs get so much information. It's a lot of things to process, but having a coach working one-on-one with them, it's a time to have a safe space to say, what questions do you have? Did you get that? What piece excites you? How can we work on that? And working one-on-one on SMART goals, on how to really put into practice what they're learning. The accountability piece it's so important, because we have noticed that those that don't take advantage of their coach, they're just going for a class, and it's hard for them to advance without having that accountability of what are you doing in the next 7 days or 14 days? How are you going to accomplish this? What are the pieces, resources that you need? Is this realistic in your situation? And having someone just cheering for them and rooting for them makes a big difference on how they don't feel alone anymore.
Could you talk about some of the success stories of SpringGR? What are some of the markers of your success? If you have stories about different entrepreneurs that have come through your programs, could you share some things about that?
Yes. Well, one of the things that we also share is our how big our word of mouth is after class. So many people refer the program to friends, and to be honest, sometimes we don't have to do even a lot of marketing, because the program and the experience speaks for itself, and we get a lot of referrals. And when we open applications, they can fill up so quickly because people had a good experience. Another just success in all the programs too, and especially I would say even in the early stage, like the Idea Lab and SBA, is that people walk away with so many aha moments, or many just reactions of, I didn't know I needed this. And it might be something that they didn't even plan to come and learn. It just opens their mind to the possibilities. And I think that's one of the biggest wins that sometimes we cannot measure in statistically or in data, is the change of mindset, is someone being able to say, you know what, I can do it, or I know what I need to take the next step, or just the fact of I can start dreaming bigger. I have the permission and I have the support, and I can see how it can be done. So we have heard from multiple entrepreneurs just coming to us and saying, when nobody else believed in me, or my family said that's a stupid idea, I had SpringGR to help me understand what I needed to do in order to make it successful. So we're more than a training, right, or a class. It's really finding a network where they can support each other, and where they can realize that the fears that I have are valid, but there are ways out of this. We partner with other organizations too. So one of the successes is knowing that we can provide the intellectual capital, but we know where to send you if you need access to capital, if you need to apply for a loan, if you need to pitch for a grant, if you need to find potential clients. We have those connections, and it's a very tailored experience for every entrepreneur, knowing that if we don't offer it, we know where to send you.
What is something most people don't know about minority-owned businesses in Grand Rapids, or what are some things that maybe people don't know that maybe you often encounter in your work with minority-owned businesses or business people in the Grand Rapids area?
Yeah, so one of them is that there are a lot of minority-owned businesses in Grand Rapids that people don't know across different sectors, and helping them with their marketing, again, it's crucial, but also realizing in this ecosystem there is a lot of them, but they haven't had the right exposure. It's hard to find them because it's limited to their networks, and this is what we're trying to bridge that gap and or break down. Some of the age of some businesses that have, or how long these businesses have been in Grand Rapids adds to the credibility and their expertise, but most people don't know about it. It's also that they can offer. So I was just recently talking to someone with what are the different ethnic foods that you refer, and there's so many options, but it's also a matter of what I mentioned, the exposure that they haven't had. They are hardworking, early stage that we see throughout all the programs, but sometimes it's really the lack of confidence that we help, but that people haven't seen in the Grand Rapids area. There are also a lot of resources for minority-owned businesses, certifications, and access to bigger contracts that usually people don't know. And what we see, brick or mortar businesses out there, we think those are all the businesses. And we exclude even sometimes like the online businesses that are happening, or the businesses that are service or products that don't have a retail store of a building, but that are still operating with such great quality and years of expertise that is trustable. But again, the lack of exposure in those areas.
So next year, as we've mentioned, is the 10th anniversary. How are you all marking the milestone of SpringGR's 10th anniversary?
We're looking at a 10th anniversary as a time to reflect of the last 10 years, to be excited about the present where we are, and to look forward and dream about the future. This is really how we're celebrating, through an immersive experience of how do we look back, how do we celebrate today, and how do we dream of the future. But we will display the different programs throughout the event. And right now we are also. And today we celebrate that when we started with one program, we have now grown into 5 different programs. From what we had our first class of 20 people, now we have over 1,000 people graduating. That we are celebrating that we're offering support for different stages, in different languages and for different audiences. And so a big milestone throughout all of this is even identifying what is an industry that we get a lot, which is the food industry, and that we talked about this specific program. But for us, it's continuous work of understanding our community, is also doing our research, is also understanding our data. What is that telling us about what is our next step to, and how can we address the issues, the challenges that many entrepreneurs face here in Grand Rapids. So as we look at this 10th year anniversary, we see an opportunity of how do we dream for the next years, and how do we provide that for entrepreneurs.
Great. 2 final questions. First question, if an entrepreneur is listening to this podcast and they're interested in taking a SpringGR class, how can they get involved?
So you can go to our website, springgr.com, and you'll find the different programs under the Programs tab, and you'll see all of the requirements, the cost, the length, and just any of the specifics of each program. We open enrollments or applications open at the end of every year, and also during the summer. So you only have 2 chances in a year to apply, but also that's intentionally so that we can focus on 15 to 20 people per class and really give a great experience to each individual, knowing that beyond class you have a coach that can help you. So you can find us on our website. We're also on social media. And if you have any questions too, we'll leave our information too, and we'll be happy to help.
Fantastic. And my very final question is, if an experienced business owner is listening to this and is interested in perhaps helping in some way, can they get involved with this as well?
Yes. Come. Again, and I mentioned this earlier, many people come for a reason, and they found out that there were other 3 reasons that didn't know they needed. So even if you are doing well in your business, you're making money, everything seems right, well, first of all, congratulations, but also we'll love to help, and we'll love to hear where you're at and what's the next step. We found other entrepreneurs that find other areas that they get excited. Some of them even find clients during class, a business partner during class, or other ventures that they want to explore. And that's really because they immerse in that experience of what does that look like, and just meeting other entrepreneurs. It really opens your mind. So I would love to have everyone, regardless on how their business is doing, because it's not just to help a business scale, is to also see what opportunities as a business you have.
Fantastic. Carla, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Carla Velas Brito is director of SpringGR, an organization that supports entrepreneurs in the Grand Rapids metro area not currently being served in the community, a large majority of whom are minorities and women, by helping them create their dream business. An expert in marketing and communications, Carla leads a talented team that provides a wide range of programs and opportunities that support entrepreneurs at every stage of their journey.
As always, thank you for listening. Our team loves putting this podcast together for you. It's encouraging to hear from our listeners. Feedback is incredibly important to us because it lets us know what you'd like to hear more of, including the kinds of topics you're interested in most. If you have comments, feedback, or ideas for a show topic or interesting guest, you can email our team at producer@acton.org. Until next week, for Acton Line, I'm Eric Cohn.